Hey, Kathy, thank you. Why do you still hear me twice? Hold on. Oh, good. Okay, so Kathy says good. All right. So I had planned on sharing my screen because I had some things I wanted to actually show you to make to go visual, but I think I set up the broadcast wrong. So it's not giving me the option to share the screen. So I just got to read to you what we're talking about. But this tip is coming from something I ran across on Instagram earlier this week, and it triggered something for me because I had just shared this same thing with one of my one-on-one clients who she's doing some media interviews, and she's done several. I'm using Be Live, Kathy. She's done several interviews, and she's gotten much better from when we started to when, where she is now. And so there was a point, though, in her latest interview where I noticed that she shrank. And, she probably has she doesn't trip over me saying who it is. So I don't have to keep remembering, don't say her name. But Deshawn Bullitt is a hair loss specialist. She's beast at what she does. And we were talking about, I was critiquing the last interview that she did. And I was like, at what point you went into expert mode? And what I mean by that is, and this happens, guys, this happens especially when you're still trying to find your voice, when you're still trying to get comfortable hearing your voice and talking in sound bites while you're doing interviews, whether it's an interview for the radio podcast, or if it's an interview that they're, recording it, so they're going to translate it into print. And especially if it's a TV interview, I tell my Mavericks, my one-on-one clients, everybody, when it comes to doing media, I am not the chief noisemaker who happens to be named TJ Mercer. I am not a publicity expert who happens to be TJ Mercer. I always show up as TJ Mercer, who happens to be the publicity expert. Doing media is not a time for you to tone down. It is not a time for you to shrink and sound very experty as you're talking. Gone are those days, are the experty experts. Pretty much, unless you're doing a serious C-SPAN or CNN, pretty much they want your personality. Hey, Melissa, they want your personality to shine. They want your personality to come through. And I remember having another client who she couldn't understand because she was based in London. And she couldn't understand why I refused to put her in the top markets, the New York, the LA, the Chicago, Philly's number 4, Dallas is number 5. And if you've ever heard me teach media, if you've never done media where you're the expert, where you're not the host of the podcast, you're not the host of the online TV show, where you have sat down and you are in the seat of being the expert, if you've never done that, I am not going to let you be in high markets. I need you to get comfortable with speaking in sound bites, with hearing your voice and getting, comfortable in your own skin by starting in the lower markets, the Albuquerque, New Mexico's, the Memphis, Tennessee, the Columbus, Georgia. So I had booked her in New Orleans. New Orleans, I think, is like number 40 or something like that. I booked her in New Orleans, and I was standing there because I went with her when she did this interview, and she's usually just a bubbly personality, kind of like mine, very sassy and very, inserts her opinion, opinionated. And I could visually see with her going from here to here to here to here, her personality was gone, because she was in the midst of all these other people, and she started to shrink. She forgot that she was a beast in her own lane. She forgot that she was she forgot that she was, a best-selling author and who was a relationship expert. And she runs multiple businesses. She forgot that she's sassy. She got in her head. Another client, when I asked her, she was another VIP client. She did CBS. And once again, I always get these sassy people, like the ones that got attitude and you just love talking to them. They're gregarious personalities. And I drilled it in her. I don't care how that interviewer shows up, because you never know what has happened to them before your interview. You don't know if they just got told that this is their last day. You don't know if they found out their husband was cheating, their wives are cheating. You don't know if they found out their kids got expelled from school. You don't know what is affecting their energy. So don't you dare show up and actually match their energy. If they're low key, if you're normally wild and, cracking jokes and all over the place, that's who you still show up to be. They'll bring it up. I was doing an interview for I forget what it was, but the interviewer had done like 3 other interviews before she got to me. And she told me that when she saw it was me who was her last interview, she's like, oh, I can relax because TJ's energy is going to carry this. That's because I'm known to show up fully as TJ Mercer, who happens to be an expert in media. That is how you have to show up. You show up as Michelle, who happens to be an expert in XYZ. You show up as Lee Ryman, who happens to be an expert at helping seniors plan their estates. You are still who you are. And so I got to go here, guys. Wait. So Patrice Washington did an Instagram post earlier this week that pointed to a thread on Twitter by Simone D. Sanders. I'm not familiar with her, but I did a little bit of looking at her. She apparently is a beast in the lane. She does CNN, she's a guest, she's an activist, she's into politics and all of that. And so I went back and looked at the original Twitter thread, and it says, hi, Simone. And I'm hoping that's how to pronounce her name. I don't know if it's Simone, because a lot of people pronounce Raven Simone. Remember from That's So Raven. And actually, I worked on a film with her, and she actually told me, I heard this out of her own mouth, that her name is really pronounced Simone. So it's Rachel. What is it? What's the baby name? What's the baby name? Raven Simone. So I'm hoping I pronounce her name right, because I decided to do this at the last minute. But it says, this is from someone who wrote to her. And she says, hi, Simone, you're so smart and beautiful. I like your comments on CNN, but may I give some advice? Uh-oh. Okay. What do you think about your long nails? That was a weird question to me anyway. Like, what do you think about your long nails? It's not appropriate when you are on CNN TV and discussing about politics. Why not? This is my opinion. Please don't take it bad. I am one of your followers. Thank you. So Simone used that opportunity to actually just drop science. And again, I had screenshot these, and I was going to share my screen, but I set this broadcast up wrong so that for whatever reason I can't screen share. You just got to roll with me on her beautiful response. She says, when someone tells me my nails, the dress or blouse I wore, or my hair is unprofessional, I find what they're really saying is out of the norm for what they're used to seeing on cable news. Before my first contract, I had an agent tell me I wasn't palatable enough for cable TV, end quote. She put that in quotes, palatable enough for cable TV. And another said I needed voice lessons because I didn't sound professional enough. Translation, I didn't look or sound like any of the women they were used to seeing on TV. Hey, Kim. Then she goes, spoiler alert, there aren't a lot of Black women on cable news. Then she says, so I'm fully aware that when I show up curvy with the low cut, because she does rock a nice boy cut, a bold lip, an oversized bow, amazing nails, and a chilling analysis, people don't know how to take it because I'm not supposed to be able to give you solid political commentary with a bedazzled nail, right? Nah, I'm completely comfortable with my authentic self. I have no problem showing up authentically as Simone and delivering. The problem is most of y'all aren't comfortable. Some of y'all keep showing up as Kay Ashley when your name is really Keisha. And so the last thing she says, But you show up because someone, but you show up as Kay Ashley because someone impressed upon you long ago that Keisha wasn't acceptable enough for the office. So when someone says my XYZ isn't professional, what I hear is they are uncomfortable with what I'm doing because they aren't actually comfortable with themselves. They wonder how I have the audacity to authentically show up every day. Meanwhile, they're tossing on a mask for 9 to 5. So the way she handles that was exactly the point I just made for y'all. Girlfriend is beast from what what I could tell. She shows up as herself, no matter what. I don't care what day it is, what platform it is, who is on the panel with me. I don't care if it's Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, the Queen of England. I'm still going to be TJ. And I'm going to say to them, listen, this is who y'all got. This is who you actually, hey, Sandy, this is who actually showed up. Didn't you check me out before you invited me here? So why is that the time to now shrink? Why is that the time for me to sound very, when I look at the 3 cases of media, I found that there's 3 mistakes that people often make when they're looking to do publicity. They often think that they need to have a publicist. They often think that they need to be a celebrity. They often think that they actually have to have a huge following. And y'all would look at me like I was crazy. Y'all would be like, where'd TJ? Where'd she go? And unless, I'll say it again, and unless it is a serious matter, unless it is something that requires diplomacy, and just don't. If I'm a girl, let me tell you, and Lord have mercy, Jesus, can I just say, y'all gonna hear me say that in any interview. You're gonna hear me say it on my podcast, hint, Random Ramblings and Rhetoric by TJ Mercer podcast. Podcast, have y'all heard it? But you're gonna say it because I'm always going to show up who I am. And let me just say though, I understand what that feels like. I understand that you may feel like you're too much for them. And the truth of the matter is you may be. However, if they brought you, if they hired you, then they hired you to be you. I know the feeling. I've been in situations where, when I started really getting corporate people coming to me, it was so tempting. I'll never forget one of my very first super corporate clients. And he's, super successful and he's very put together, wears, suits every day. That ain't TJ. And so when he and I were on Zoom, when I found the moment that I was toning down my light and I was like trying to sound, corporate-y, I was like, no, come to find out later, it's that part of me that drew him to me because he knows he's not that. He needs to have more personality. But had I not stood powerfully in, this is who I am. I remember another situation where I was on a speaker panel and I was the last to go. And I'm sitting there, with some dynamic women. And I was tempted to shrink. Oops. Hold on. I was tempted to shrink. I did something. Stand by. And something kept telling me, don't you dare shrink. Don't you dare dim your light to match their energy. And it ended up being one of the best talks I've given to date. All because I made a conscious decision. Good, Shauna. I'm glad that was for you. Shauna says, well, damn, that was for me. But I have to always make it a conscious decision that no matter what room I show up in, I'm showing up as TJ because I am actually called to draw those people to me. People are drawn to my light. People are drawn to how I show up. Hey, Tiffany. And so if that's the case, how dare I? So what I'm getting from at least reading some of your comments, I'll say this and I'm going to tap on out. What I'm getting from your comments is that this is just not something I need to be saying for people who are doing media interviews. This is something that you guys are relating to anytime you show up. This is something that you need to be reminded of anytime you show up. I remember on, set life when I did night school and then when I did Shaft recently. Once again, I was new in the environment. I was almost timid, but it's just like, oh, no, ma'am. I'll quickly, word spread, I gave the best hugs. It quickly spread that some people would get to work and come find me to hug me because I'm showing up who I am. I don't care what situation you put me in. I'm going to show up and I'm going to hug some people. I'm going to pray for them. When I hear that they need some guidance, I'm going to be there to give it to them. And my presence is going to be felt. What is that for you? Don't dim your light for an interview. And for those of you who are just coming in, I'll say this, I'll circle back around so we can put a button on this, that when you show up to do your interviews, you are not Jacqueline. Oh, Lord, Tia snuck in on here. Hi, Tervini, you are the mad hugger. Really? T, is that a playoff for the Mad Hatter? But T, isn't that true? When we've been in environments together, T and I go to industry events together. T Jones is one of the baddest TV producers in the game. And we were together last week, T, when we went to see Power. And wasn't I going around hugging people, laughing, talking, being my normal rambunctious self? Tell them I always show up with who I am. T Jones knows as soon as she sees me, I'm hugging her, period. I don't care if she screams that I'm, hugging her to death, I'm squeezing her. I don't care. But when you actually sit down, I am not TJ Mercer. I'm saying it back. I'm not the publicity expert who happens to be TJ Mercer. I am TJ Mercer who happens to be the publicity expert. Audrey, you are Audrey showing up in full Audrey mode who happens to be whatever your expertise is. Tavy, Brenda, you are who you are who happens to be. Gone are the days, I'm telling you, gone are the days of experty sound experts. Not even on your Facebook lives. Why y'all show up here? Because y'all know TJ Looney and she crazy. Gone are those days. It is your personality. No one wants to listen to the Ben Steins of the world. Is it Ben Stein? Was it the guy who talks like this? Is that him? No. No one wants to listen to that. All right. Tiffany says, I have a pic of us hugging and you're literally squishing my face. Yep. Sounds about right. I ain't apologizing for it. Sounds about right. Jacqueline says, I refuse to get comfortable so that someone else can be comfortable. I am who I am. Take me or leave my space. Took me a long time to get there. Lee says, how do you not dim your light when your gift is bringing calm? That is your light. So that's a great question, Lee, for the reverse. My attorney, let me tell you something. My attorney is the best example of this. Best example. My attorney rarely, his name is DT, he rarely raises his voice. And no matter how much energy I meet with him, he's still very calm. He's still because we need that, Lee. I need that. Come on now. I say it all the time. There's certain people in my life that are the string to my helium balloon. DT is that for me. DT, I will call him, can you believe? And she did this and she ain't paid, and he will go, Tawan, we're going to handle it. And sometimes it can be infuriating because I'm like, I want you to just be mad with me. And he's just like, no, he doesn't change. So if that is your gift to bring calm to a situation, own that. Don't let someone like me, DT does not let me change who he is. He doesn't all of a sudden get real animated until he gets mad. He got mad the other day and I was like, when you pissed DT off, I know you uncrossed the line. So if your personality is that of a calming presence, I need that too. We need that. The TJs of the world need that. We can't, can you imagine everybody you come in contact with is like me? Yeah, would lose your mind. So I need the calming presence. I need that quiet. I've always said my husband has to be, he can't be as animated and headstrong as me. He has to be that person that can calm me. That person that has to have that just calming presence that, all right, I'm gonna let you act a fool, but both of us ain't gonna be here acting a fool. I'm gonna let you be all over the place, over the top. I'm gonna lay back in the cut and watch your back. That's how we have to get down. All right, so I think that's it. Yeah, okay. So Audrey says, so glad those days are gone. Melissa says, I need a TJ hug. Shauna's like, preach, girl. Yeah, I might as well pass the collection plate. And last thing. So if you have not already, hey, Dr. Lorraine, miss you, pumpkin. If you have not already gone to Tune In with TJ, I'm giving away on Chooses with TJ, which is tomorrow. I'm giving away my autograph. My autograph Blackish script. But you got to go to TuesdayWithTJ.com. I mean, TuneInWithTJ.com. Somebody typing that for me? Let me see if I can type it. Oops. No. Can somebody type that in the comments for me? Wait. Okay. To make sure that you enter to win it. Okay. And here's what's crazy. Hundreds of y'all have been listening to the podcast, but so far, only 4 people have entered to win, which I think is odd. Like, you're listening to it, but y'all don't want to take the opportunity to win something. Like, you're listening to it apparently, and I've quietly launched it. So I haven't made this big deal about it. So go into Tune In with TJ. The podcast is officially called Random Ramblings and Rhetoric with TJ Mercer. It is a podcast where faith collides with laughter, lessons, and love. My favorite episode is 9. If you're a fan of the Mama Chronicles, you'll love that one because I don't think I've told that story live before, at least not lately. And it's funny. I'm told, from the feedback that it's super funny. So you can start there if you want. I think I'm up to 18 episodes out there now. So go listen, go enter, because I want to give this away. Well, apparently I am going to give it away because for y'all, but I just think it's odd that hundreds of people have listened, but only a few, maybe because I'm only telling my social media pals and my media list people. Maybe that's it, that not too many people have registered to win, and it don't cost you nothing. So, but that's it. Unless y'all have anything else for me. Kathy, what did Kathy just say? Kathy Kidd says, yes, vulnerable and authentic. Something about build, know, like, and trust. That's what it is. Build, like, know, and trust. All right. So that's it. I will see. Thanks for guys for typing that in for me. Michelle said, Mimi, I don't know why I'm calling you Michelle. Mimi says, one of my mentors is like that. She's always the calm to my excitement. We need that. We need that. All right. So in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Last thing, y'all, for my praying people, please pray for me because I am battling something that I need to get clarity on how God wants me to handle something, because how I handle something is going to have massive ramifications and for someone else. But I have to do what's right. And if I do this, I'm doing it for the people who are coming behind me, so they are not treated this way. And so just pray for your girl. Just pray for your girl, because This is one of those things that I have to do, not for myself, but for other people, that this person doesn't continue to operate like this. Because it's just come to my attention that this is a track record and this is their history. And it's coming to my attention from all different sources that I wasn't even looking for. And so if I have to do what I have to do, it's going to have some severe ramifications, because I'm the type that a lot of people think that because of my normal sunshiny disposition and how I always want people to love, get along, that they can actually get away with doing me dirty. And then they're always surprised when I fight back. I don't fight dirty, but I do fight back, especially when it's for the greater good. I do fight back. And you can only poke me so many times. You can only keep coming at me so many times, or trying to do wrong, just be foul towards me so many times before I'll say enough. It's time to fight back. So just keep praying for me. All right. That's it. Where was I? 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye.